So just for compare and contrast, we're going to read a couple quotes and then we're going to get into the inaugural address of Jimmy Carter. The ink of a scholar's blood is holier than the blood of a martyr. One who seeks knowledge is on the path of God until returning. He who is not courageous in life to take risk will accomplish nothing in life. Don't count the days. Make the days count. Don't count the days. Make the days count. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. It's not the mountain that wears us out, but the pebble in our shoes. I am the greatest. I am the greatest. Muhammad Ali says that he was saying that he was the greatest before he actually believed that he was the greatest. Before he became the greatest, So here's a little clip from Inaugural Address, 1977, Jimmy Carter. R.I.P. to Jimmy Carter, who just died at age 100.
Here before me is a Bible used in the inauguration of our first president in 1789. And I have just taken the oath of office on the Bible my mother gave me just a few years ago, opened to a timeless admonition from the ancient prophet Micah. He has showed thee, O man, what is good, and what doth the Lord require of thee, but to do justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with thy God. This inauguration ceremony...
So that was Micah 6:8. Micah 6:8, he was talking about justice, mercy, and being humble. Being humble. And so we got a couple things here. Donald Trump had said, a bunch of bullshit, just thoughts and prayers like they always do. But during the campaign, he did say a little pithy comment. He said that Jimmy Carter should be happy that Joe Biden is the president right now. This is just paraphrasing. Since Joe Biden is so crappy, Jimmy Carter actually looks good by comparison versus Joseph or Biden. So he should be happy that Biden's president right now, because by comparison, well, Biden looks like shit and Carter looks incredible. I'll mention one thing about Christianity. When Eisenhower became the president, he made the entire audience bow their head. All right, I'm going to say a little prayer. Everybody bow their head. Jimmy Carter just talked about how he swore on the Bible, and then he just had a Bible quote. This president here said that he is not a Christian. He doesn't know anything about, how to read the book. He doesn't know any quote. He doesn't speak. He's an atheist that panders to Christianity. So it's interesting how he doesn't exude any Christian values, and yet you have people that are kissing his ass. Your strength can compensate for my weakness. Over and over again, Jimmy Carter is talking about his weakness. And he's saying that America's strength will overcompensate for his own weakness. Let us learn together and laugh together and work together and pray together. Well, we all going to sing Kumbaya. This is just going to be a big old happy wonderland. He doesn't seem like he's a very good talker. He doesn't seem to have very pithy quotes. Muhammad Ali would have been a better president than this guy. Confident that in the end we will triumph together in the right. Let's see, if we despise our own government, we have no future. Our commitment to human rights must be absolute. Our laws fair, our natural beauty preserved. The powerful must not persecute the weak. Human dignity must be enhanced. So together in a spirit of individual sacrifice for the common good, we must simply do our best. When people are talking about you need to sacrifice for the common good that I dictate, I think you should be nervous. Because how can you appeal to somebody's self-interest by telling them they need to sacrifice? Well, you just need to sacrifice. Sacrifice yourself, sacrifice your comfort, sacrifice what little bit of coin that you got. Just sacrifice everything for the common good or just for me. Our nation can be strong abroad only if it's strong at home. We know that the best way to enhance freedom in other lands is to demonstrate here that our democratic system is worthy of emulation. To be true to ourselves, we must be true to others. Are these truisms? Are you just making up this shit? Did he give this speech to anybody? Did he have a speech writer? Because it just seems like he's kind of just making this shit up at the top. I like that he pardoned the Vietnam, War veteran. or the deserters, right? He pardoned all the deserters. I like that he did that. I like that he promised that he was never going to lie to us. I like that he was a peanut farmer who came from nothing and became the president. So basically he's got a mandate. He's got a mandate. He's this regular guy, came the president. We had Nixon, we had Watergate, we had fucking LBJ, we had Vietnam. And now we just elected a goddamn peanut farmer. So, we should expect great things. And then, unfortunately, there's the Alaska pipeline, which, okay, that was all right. But there is the trade deficit. There is the inflation. There's the hostage crisis. There wasn't really much victories. I don't even know what there's just a few victories. There was the Camp David Accords, but he actually increased the aid to Israel. We're a strong nation. We will maintain strength so sufficient that it need not be proven in combat. A quiet strength based not merely on the size of an arsenal, but on the nobility of ideas. He did say that his empire didn't fire a shot, which I think is actually pretty noble. We will be ever vigilant, never vulnerable. We will fight our wars. When it comes to wars, I think we should be revolutionary. I think we should always defend ourselves. If anybody attacks us, we should, immediately attack them back. We should definitely be for self-defense. Wars of aggression, wars for conquest. I think we should be like France. When America was fighting against Great Britain, France, who was a monarchy, so they had a right-wing conservative government, they recognized that America is going to have a revolution. They're going to overturn the entire, the world turned upside down. So a conservative government can recognize a revolutionary government in a different country and give them weapons and give them money and give them their United Nations veto. So we should be for revolutionary wars across the world. We should help to overthrow dictatorships, help to overthrow authoritarian, fascist, oppressive regimes, if we can. But ultimately, if we're not attacked, then I don't see why we should be attacking anybody else. If another nation is being attacked, then we should help defend that nation. So we have a right to defend ourselves. We have a right to defend others. And we have a right to be on the right side of history when it comes to the revolution. We will be ever vigilant, never vulnerable. We will fight our wars against poverty, ignorance, and injustice, for those are the enemies against which our forces can be honorably marshaled. We're a purely idealistic nation, but let no one confuse our idealism with weakness. Because we are free, we can never be indifferent to the fate of freedom elsewhere. Our moral sense dictates a clear-cut preference for these societies which share with us an abiding respect for individual human rights. And then he's going to push for the elimination of nuclear weapons. And there isn't much in that inaugural address. That's not going to be an inaugural address that's going to, stay throughout history. I can just think of Thomas Jefferson's inaugural address. In the very beginning, he basically summarized how he had viewed things. He says, we're all Republicans, we're all Federalists. Why did he say we're all Republicans and we're all Federalists? Well, because, he just took out the Federalist Party. He's a Republican, and since he just kicked out the Federalists, he just wants to make sure you understand what kind of government he is about to bring into this land. We are all Republicans. We are all Federalists. If there be any among us who would wish to dissolve this union or to change its Republican form, let them stand undisturbed as monuments of the safety with which error of opinion may be tolerated, where reason is left free to combat it, with courage and confidence to pursue our federal and our Republican principles, our attachment to union and representative government, kindly separated by the nature and a wide ocean. Here we go. I will compress all the values of America within the narrowest compass that I can. Here's what me, Thomas Jefferson, wants for the world, or for America. For America, we stand for equal and exact justice to all men. Listen to that phrase, equal and exact justice. So eye for an eye, right? Of whatever state or persuasion, religious or political, peace, commerce, and honest friendship with all nations, entangling alliances with none, the support of the state governments and all their rights, as the most competent administrations for our domestic concerns and the surest bulwarks against anti-Republican tendencies, the preservation of the general government in its whole constitutional vigor as the sheet anchor of our peace at home and safety abroad, a jealous care of the right of election by the people, a mild and safe corrective of abuses which are lopped by the sword of revolution, where peaceable remedies are unprovided. So he's saying that we have the right to revolution, and if they take away our right to elections, then we need to do a revolution. Absolute acquiescence in the decisions of the majority, the vital principles of republics, from which is no appeal but to force, the vital principle and immediate parent of despotism, a well-disciplined militia, our best reliance in peace, and for the first moments of war till regulars may relieve them, the supremacy of the civil over the military authority, economy, and the public expense, that labor may be lightly burthened, the honest payment of our debts and sacred preservation of the public faith, encouragement of agriculture and of commerce as its handmaid, the diffusion of information and arraignment of all abuses at the bar of the public reason, freedom of religion, freedom of the press, freedom of person under the protection of habeas corpus, and trial by juries impartially selected. Bing, bam, boom, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. These principles form the bright constellation which has gone before us, guided our steps through an age of revolution and reformation. The wisdom of our sages, the blood of our heroes has been devoted to their attainment. They should be the creed of our political faith, the text of civic instruction, the touchstone by which to try the services of those we trust, and should wander from them in moments of error or of alarm. Let us hasten to retrace our steps and to regain the road which alone leads to peace, liberty, and safety. So that's fucking legendary, right? That's eternal. That's eternal. That's going to live forever. The shit that Carter is saying, let's just go here, 1041. Let's give him a minute. All right, Carter.
Of their own physical condition, but for basic human rights. The passion for freedom is on the rise. Tapping this new spirit, there can be no nobler nor more ambitious task for America to undertake on this day of a new beginning than to help shape a just and peaceful world that is truly humane. We are a strong nation, and we will maintain strength so sufficient.
So they just went on, they got the camera on somebody else, and she looks bored as shit, right? Got her hair all did and her makeup all done, and yet he's just, trying to be exciting, trying to be charismatic, but it's almost like, I'm in power now. I don't have to motivate you sons of bitches. You do got to motivate. That you're the motivator in chief. You're the head cheerleader.
A quiet strength based.
And then he paused, and they're just kind of doing obligatory claps. In the very beginning, he had said, I just want to thank my predecessor for leading us through, a nice, smooth transitional time. We're all going to kiss Gerald Ford's ass because Nixon resigns. Ford gives him a fucking pardon and then rules for 2 years. And it's like, well, that was some fucked up shit, but thank you, Ford, for manning the post. There have been a lot of motherfuckers that would have taken that.
Quiet strength based not merely on the size of an arsenal, but on the nobility of ideas. We will be ever vigilant and never vulnerable, and we will fight our wars against poverty, ignorance, and injustice.
So I like that he talked about a war on poverty, war on ignorance, and injustice. These are good wars. Fuck injustice. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Ignorance. What was that big quote by Diderot to Voltaire? He says that when you teach history, some people teach history for the relaying of facts. But when you teach history, oh great Voltaire, you teach history. You teach the facts in order to excite in our hearts a profound hatred of lying, ignorance, hypocrisy, superstition, fanaticism, and tyranny. Lying, ignorance, hypocrisy, superstition, fanaticism, and tyranny. And this anger remains even after the memory of the facts has disappeared. So you may hear the story, you understand the story, but the point of the story is, oh, they're a bunch of tyrannical, fanatical, superstitious, hypocritical, lying, ignorant motherfuckers. So fuck the hypocrites, fuck the superstitious, fuck the tyrants, fuck the lying, fanatical, fucking ignorant sons of bitches. So on that front, I agree with Carter. I'll give you one more sentence, Carter. Go ahead. Hurrah! Hurrah! War on poverty. They don't talk about poverty.
For those other enemies against which our forces can be honorably marshaled, we are a proudly idealistic nation, but let no one confuse our idealism with weakness.
There he is again, talking about weakness. So let's hear, Joe Biden.
Well, he lost his father, his brother, his sisters to this terrible disease. So when Jimmy was diagnosed, we did our best to comfort him. We met with him down in Plains. We met with him anyway. We talked and shared our beliefs that as a nation.
Goodness gracious, that's awful. So, yeah, he actually can form coherent sentences. This asshole, what the fuck is he doing? Like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
We have the talent and the resources to one day end cancer as we know it, if we make the investments. He believed that like I do.
He says the only regret in his presidency was that he never wore a purple tie. This motherfucker is so out of touch, and I can't believe this guy is running the entire world. This is the emperor. This is the king of America. Holy fucking shit. And he did nothing wrong. I don't even know what the infrastructure bill. He did an infrastructure bill, huh? So, okay, we don't have crumbling roads and bridges. Okay, that's important. Did we get high-speed internet? Did we get some bullet trains going from north to south, to east to west, maybe even to southeast to the northwest? Is that...
I'll always cherish having seen Jimmy and Rosalind Carter together.
He'll always cherish. He says as monotone as he can. I'll always cherish me and Jimmy and Rosalind.
Theirs was a love affair of the ages. While we'll miss them both dearly.
There's a love affair of the ages, he says.
I do take some solace in the kids were saying that they're united once again. We're going to remain forever in our hearts. But they're together again. The entire Carter family, on behalf of the world, the whole nation, we send our whole heartfelt sympathies.
Oh my God, this is terrible. So, okay, in a way, the president-elect is right. I just want to compare and contrast. Is Donald Trump going to mention the Bible or Christianity? Is he going to mention a war on poverty or a war on ignorance or a war on injustice? And what about nuclear proliferation? These are some enduring ideas. The idealism of Jimmy Carter. It's kind of like when Barack Obama became president. Michael Moore says you're just going to be known as, the first black president. And that's it. So you have all this, public sentiment. People are hopeful and their expectations are high. And you got a massive mandate. You're a black man in America. You just became president. You're a peanut farmer, just became president. You could do some shit. You could pass universal health care, right? You could, stop wars. You could build a bunch of homeless shelters. I don't know. What the fuck?